Hello, everybody. We're here today with the gorgeous Angela Rose, and she's just such a beautiful heart. You can see that from seeing her there. Angela, can you just begin by telling us a little bit about you and your background so that people can hear who you are?
Sure. Hi, I'm Angela. So my background, it's been a pretty interesting ride. My background originated in corporate, and I'm retraining at the moment. About 2.5 years ago, I had this massive epiphany that I was called to work in palliative care and aged care. I was resisting it for some time and having a lot of people say to me, "Oh, you can't do that." And I realized, actually, no, yes, I can. This is what I'm meant to be doing. So you can just go over there and I'll get on with it. I've had a lot of roadblocks for this journey, and within this year, so I made the conscious decision to retrain. So I did all the applications for various. I thought, I'll do it the practical way, like the old school way. I'll go through university. I'll continue with psychology. I'll continue with my studies and go that way. So I applied through a university called the Australian Catholic University, and I got into counselling and to nursing. And I also won a scholarship, so I was very excited. But then my bubble was burst when the counselling course was pulled, and so was the nursing course that I wanted to get into with lack of numbers. Therefore, I had to start again. I was also having blockages I've been trying to do a pastoral care course for the last 18 months, and each time, for whatever reason, I have a blockage, and it's sorry. I have a blockage. So I thought it was my son. I apologize. I thought he was crawling around. No, so I've had blockages and obstacles. So what's been happening is I get into the course and then it gets cancelled, and I'm just going, what is going on? So I took stock and I just sat back and I thought, look, I think I need to reconsider everything. So I thought, I don't think my journey is to go to university. So I started to listen to myself and do the courses I needed to do. And when I started doing that, some beautiful synchronicities started happening and some beautiful people started arriving on my journey, and they were the people I needed to meet. And I started thinking, gee, that's really amazing, and just accept it. And I realized too that I wasn't able to do the pastoral care course until a very significant event in my life. And that was that my father passed. So he passed in June this year. And I realized I needed to go through that grief to really understand the whole process. So the whole roadblock situation, all of a sudden, and I only got this a couple of days ago, made sense. Because now I'm at the other side of dealing with grief and working it all out, my synchronicities have started to flow again. So in the last 48 hours, I've had a interview with a lady. I've been accepted into the pastoral care course that I've been wanting to do for a long time. And it's even exceeding my expectations because it's being held somewhere that I hold very dear to me, and that's in the Glasshouse Mountains. So it's not actually going to be physically in a hospital. It's going to be at the lady's house, and I'll be working with other priests, missionaries, and other people in the spiritual field. But I will also get to do the practical work with one of my very favourite people in the world, and his name is Father Stevens. So he visits the sick and the palliative care patients in Prince Charles and Holy Spirit. So I'll be able to do that as well. So that's going to be that's just the basis of where my journey is starting. But then on the next level, I actually want to get into training. So witnessing my mother and my sister look after my father for 10 years, 4 years of high care. My mother refused to put him into an aged care facility, and she's a very brave and courageous woman. I really admire her. I just can't get over her. So my father was treated like a king for the last, 10 years. He did not want for anything. He did not have to move a muscle. The care there was like the love and the kindness and the care was so unbelievable. And I want to see that more in palliative care and aged care. I visited a lot of aged care and palliative care units. And something that's screamingly obvious to me is the lack of care. And I think it's no one's fault. However, I think people are being pushed to their limits because of such One, maybe people don't want to be working in this area. People are afraid of death. Two, people are working very long hours and become immune to grief and sadness. That it's like, hey, you die and just get over it, next. Like, seriously, come on. So just that, more empathy, and just caringness. So my larger view is training, but training other trainers to get into the aged care and palliative care sector, and to promote more self-care for the patient, for the carer, and for the families, and basically preparing people for death. I went to an amazing seminar this week with David Kessler, and it was about grief and trauma. And it was one of the best courses I've ever been to, because it was, I'm like, how is it that I have had so much fun today and laughed so hard in a grief course? This is ridiculous. So basically, I've just gone, cha-ching, we need to bring a bit more celebration, a little bit more happiness, a bit more joy into the concept of dying. I know that sounds a bit crazy, but I feel that people get so caught up in the illness, so caught up in, regrets, what if, etc., and just go, you know what, let's just accept this. This is what it is. Okay, we've tried everything to save this person, or, and also still have hope that miracles may happen, and I believe they do. However, sometimes, we all have that point in our life where it's time to exit and you can't escape it. So it's written already that you're all going at some point, and why not try and make that a joyful experience instead of a terrifying, scared, horrifying experience. So basically, I want to promote a greater understanding and a greater support network for people, because I think what happens, and David Kessler said something that was very interesting. He said, people often prepare more for a long weekend than they do for death, and then wonder why they're terrified out of their mind, lying in a bed, no one's coming to visit them. And, it's that whole, when you can't sleep at night and you're looking at the clock and it's like 2 o'clock, and then it feels like 5 hours and it's like 2:01. It's like, imagine that's a lot like dying. So, you're just waiting to check out. You're going, okay, take me already. And then there's a lot of pain, there's a lot of anguish going on, and hanging on to the people who are living and needing that permission to leave. So I just want basically a whole, holistic view of more awareness, and training and retreat facilities for people who are going through grief. So basically, my biggest goal, by 2050, I would like to impact 25 million people just within Australia. But I would like to revolutionise this space and actually take it globally. And sometimes when I hear myself, I go, are you insane? Like, really? You want to sign up to this? And I'm going, yep, bring it on. So basically, that's a little bit about me, just in brief.
Oh, and what a wonderful bit about you it was. It was it revealed so much. And, you have such a big heart, Angela, because, it's in the old age where most of the wisdom is the knowledge of life, and in so many cultures, not necessarily the native cultures, but generally in the cultures, it's not respected.
It is, and forgotten. Yeah. And I'm finding, especially in westernized civilization, and with the fact that we've got posters and advertisements on aged care abuse, I find it really disgusting. And I actually have friends who are being treated like this. I have a 92-year-old gentleman who I help out sometimes, and his family have just kicked him to the curb, basically, and don't care and don't want to hear his stories. And you know what? I can sit and listen to this gentleman all day, every day. He has the most amazing stories, the most amazing wisdom. And I actually said to him recently, I said, I'm looking at this company that I want to create, which is aside from this. And I said, I want you to be one of my design team. And he goes, really? And I'm like, who better? You've got 92 years of experience. Your mind is so sharp. You're amazing. And you don't know how amazing you are, because you know what? People have just forgotten you for whatever reason. And people are too busy with their lives, too busy on their phones, too busy, instead of going, you know what? Let's just put the iPhones or whatever away, and let's actually really connect with people. Let's really connect with our aged people. Let's really connect with people who are sick, instead of going, oh, you know what? that's really too hard. You know, they're dying. I don't want to remember them like that. I'm like, are you friggin' kidding me? Like, that's the most selfish view in the world. It's like, put yourself in that person's shoes. If you were dying, would you not want to see the people you love? And I know everyone is different and not everyone is like that. I get it. However, there just needs to be that more reaching into self and having empathy and really trying to connect with other people. And I think what's problematic is we're not connecting.
That is very, very true. Because you've made an important point there, because it is actually the humanity itself that is the network, not the technology, not the devices, not the internet or anything else. It's the actual people. So it's about caring for people of all age groups.
Absolutely.
And one thing that has always upset me, especially when I saw my own grandparents that were when they were getting older and they needed to be cared for by people, and sometimes they went into care just for so people looking after them could rest, but I didn't like the way they were cared for. They were just kind of, they were there and they were like, oh, you're here, fine. You know, it wasn't, and there wasn't any interaction. There wasn't you go into the lounge area, which is meant to be like homely, and it was chairs around the outside of the room, and if you wanted to speak to someone over there, you needed a megaphone.
It's not functional. It's no, you're so right.
No comfy sofas or things that would keep them active and alive.
Absolutely.
And that's what I love about your vision, the fact that you care for the wisdom, you care for the awareness that these people have, and the fact that they know more than anybody about this airspace because they've experienced so much of it. And to be respectful of that is wonderful, isn't it?
It is. And I think, it's almost like, I'm going to sound like an old lady, the young people of today.
I agree.
They do not. And when I say the young people of today, I mean 35 and under, or sometimes even 50 and under, depends who it is. It's almost like they forget that older people were young ones. They have their story. They've had their, trials and tribulations. They've experienced the Great Depression. They have experienced great loss. However, in our day and age, we have everything in the Western society. So we have never had to experience adversity, really. Therefore, there is that lack of appreciation, that lack of, again, to do the connection. But it's that whole, sit down with an older person. You might actually learn something. Recently, I went to 4 aged care facilities in Brisbane. And the reason why I did that, it was quite funny. It was like the tour, Angie, the tour guide, going to various elderly care aged care facilities, because I have 3 friends who are facing that point in their life where they need to choose an aged care facility just in case, things get real. So I took these 3 friends to 4 facilities, and I was so sad and horrified when I left. I just thought, I wouldn't leave my pot plant or my goldfish here, let alone someone I love. And I just thought, really? And they want you to sell your house and pay, sorry, how much money? Like, $700,000, and you might get a room, and hey, you may get a toilet that you have to share with someone else who's possibly dying. And seriously, like, this is what we're offering people who have given so much to the world, and this is how you exit? I'm like, there has to be a better way. There has to be a more enlightening way to leave this planet than in a white, cold room with, people who don't particularly care. And I'm not saying that all places are like that. There was some places that really stood out, and the staff really cared, and it was very homely. But some of the other places, I just went, I'd be like, I'm not sending anyone here. Like, I'll look after myself before I do that. It was just really eye-opening.
Yeah, found that too, and it was like one of well, basically when you hear things, and I heard that in one of them that they don't always take into account as well how people are in their in regards to how they can eat and things either, because I've heard of someone that I didn't have many teeth left, you know, and they kept feeding them things like steak and stuff instead of stuff that was actually edible for them, you know, and they literally were starving to death until they were made to consider that they needed different food. Now that it needs to be brought into a greater awareness that, you know, they are people. And actually, okay, maybe not so much now, but when I was young, it was people that had protected us from invasion or whatever, that we're talking about, that had given their siblings or friends are given their lives to protect people, and yet they were still treated very badly in homes. And I absolutely admire what you wish to do to bring change into this, because it's something that's dear to my heart as well, just from what I've seen through other relatives. And
absolutely,
I just, you know, you go in and you just feel sad because they just sat around the outside of a room in bolt upright chairs with wooden arms, sitting there, and you can see them saying, "God, take me now," in the pain, can't you? And there's
absolutely
there's no joy because there's no interaction. There's no ability to interact.
Yeah, it's quite interesting. I'm going over to Philadelphia in a few weeks to visit my dear. She's my adopted grandma, and her name's Marjorie. She'll be 90 next year, and my dear Renato, he passed away last year, so I haven't seen her since he passed. But I'll be actually staying at an aged care facility for 4 or 5 nights. And it's really, I've been there quite a few times, and I'm really happy when I'm there for March, because it has such a different feel. They're very leaps and bounds ahead to Australia. There's very much, it is all about interaction. It is all about, you know, getting people involved and the caring factor, and it's very different. So I actually want to run a workshop while I'm there, if they will allow me. So as a little experiment. But yeah, it's just, I don't know, like, even, you know, just, you know, bringing in children to visit aged care facilities. And I know that happens already, but at one point I know that I was looking at trying to have aged care facilities with childcare together, so older people can have that time with children. So that's maybe another aspect for later. But yeah, so basically overall though, I just want more of a supportive system, and also support for carers who are caring at home, because they're often the forgotten hero. My poor mother, and you know, it's just been a really hard time, and just offering that, you know, there is that support there is that someone does care. And with, I suppose, when I say I want to impact so many people by 2050, selfishly, I will be in retirement age then. But also, sorry, my little boy is just waking up. Maybe a little second. No, I can't have it.
That's fine.
Later on, okay. So, yeah, so selfishly, it's the whole, you know, we all will get old. None of us are going to escape this. As much as we ignore it, every single one of us will die. Every single one of us hopefully will get to old age. I know that it's not always the case. But, you know, how beautiful would it be to be more prepared and to have that support in place? And even just attending one day for a grief and trauma workshop this week it's like the penny dropped and it made so much more sense. And I just thought, even if it's one day out of someone's life to go, you know what, wow, you know, and you have siblings squabbling and you have relatives carrying on, and you know, this poor person just wants to die in peace and have to deal with all their family members. And actually, dear Marge, she always says to me, Ange, I'm like, how you doing, Marge? She's like, you know how it is in God's waiting room, Ange. We're just all kind of waiting and waiting. And it's, you know, it's bizarre. She's beautiful. She still has a sense of humor. So, so that's really good. But yeah, so, I mean, for me, I know that, like, this whole concept sets my soul on fire. Like, more recently, I've started to, I've done a lot of self-work this year. I've been doing a lot of healing upon myself. And it's been talking to people, workshops, watching clips, and really, I worked out, for me, I needed to heal myself before I can heal others and before I can provide any kind of service. So I've started to feel like the phoenix is about to rise from the flames, and watch out, because there's going to be massive changes and goodness happening. Good.
I'm glad. I'm glad I'm going to be cared for when I get older.
I know, I was like, I'll make more of
it. No, but it's, as I say, it's something that has been very dear to my heart as well from personal experience. So to have you here speaking of the same values and the same level of vibration as what I've been thinking of anyway, it's wonderful. It really makes me feel, yay, it's actually going to happen. We are, you know, you're a way setter to make change, and that, you know, just because we can't you know, move about and be in our home, it doesn't mean that we've lost our ability to laugh, or ability to do things, or ability to still have play. Yeah, I mean, I've got a fun story actually, because when somebody I know, his wife died of cancer, but he got cancer and overcame it. But he decided to put himself in a home. This is his own words, put himself in a home so he wouldn't be a burden to his children if it ever happened again. And he goes, it wasn't till I did it that I realized I was there 30 years too soon. And he's like in his 70s, you know.
That's really funny.
But what he does, he calls it the secret garden, and he makes cocktails and stuff, and I was like, oh, that's why you meant to be there. You bringing joy to the people.
Absolutely. No, absolutely. That's so true. It is very true. Actually, my older gentleman friend, the 92-year-old, he said to me, he says, Ange, I need to tell you a joke. I'm like, okay. He goes, what did the 90-year-old man, he went into the office to see the doctor, and the doctor says to him, so how do you feel when you wake up in the morning? He just looked him straight in the eye and said, surprised. So I'm surprised I'm alive every day because of my age. And it was just, I thought, that is funny. But, you know, it's, if you're surprised and if you're, you know, just bring that joy back in, bring that inner child back, bring that playful side back. And even, I've never heard of laughing yoga. Sorry, I had heard of laughing yoga, but I'd never experienced a class. And I did on Monday, and I'm like going, they should be doing this every morning in every aged care, palliative care, any care, I don't care where, workplace, because it really sets you up for the day. That whole, you start laughing and it's a bit of a fake laugh, but then it becomes hysterical because it's just so funny. And I'm like, you know, just something as simple as that could be done everywhere and would make such a difference to everyone. So yeah, it's just simple things. Doesn't have to be, you know, huge lots of money spent or huge whatever, but just getting back to basics.
Yeah, and it's absolutely crucial. So, Angela, if people wanted to contact you regarding anything, what are you able to provide for them, like now, in regards to what you're doing?
Yeah, sure. I can provide things like, well, conversation, or I can provide some links that I'm looking at, because at the moment I'm still in the like research retrain phase. So I'm still like getting there, but I'm hoping to provide the concept that, you know, workshops will be coming available, and I want it to be in place by the next 6 to 12 months. I just have to get it all in place. But other than that, yeah, just support, or even, you know, just even a lending ear, or I want to start maybe even just doing like a Facebook page for people who are, you know, who are grieving and who make, it's funny, my mother's become a teenager. She's on Facebook all the time. I'm like, where's mum? She's on Facebook somewhere with her friends. So, you know, and often people will chat to other people that maybe they don't know so well, or, you know, because it's very, that whole anonymous, having a chat to someone who may be experiencing the same thing. So, yeah, so that's probably what I can help out with at the moment.
Yeah, awesome. I just wanted to ask you as well, because people are in situations where obviously they're trying to, because they don't like the idea of homes, because they think they're kind of making their parents feel that they're giving up on them or whatever, and they're, you know, literally putting them in God's waiting room, putting them in a home, because that's what it looks like and how it's represented right now. And they're trying to keep them at home, but they're really, really struggling.
Yeah.
Especially if they have kind of, I mean, I know people like this, and they're trying to keep them at home, but they've got mind loss or whatever, and it's becoming more and more difficult to do so.
Very challenging,
but they don't want to take that plunge to, well, as they see it, putting them in God's waiting room. What would you advise them to do in that situation right now? Would they be able to come to you for advice, or
I think, they probably could come to me for advice. Just from what I've been experiencing with family members and friends, because with the whole deciding to have a loved one move into that next phase of their life, is such a big decision for everybody, whether it be the person and sometimes the parent or whoever the aged person is are at that time where they don't have the ability to make that decision due to Alzheimer's, due to dementia. So, and there's a lot of guilt with that. So I think my advice would be, you know, what would you as a person want to be, like, would happen with you in that situation? Like, and again, it's that whole, just take yourself out of the situation, reflect. What would I do if I was mum or dad or sister, cousin, whatever? And I know that people get so caught up in things, and it's so emotionally charged. Then people can't make a decision. So it's just this kind of stuck space. And then I guess it's just, you know, choosing the right place for people. And, you know, still obviously visiting and caring. But I think the biggest thing is acceptance. It's like, okay, this is where we are, and we need to manage this now. So it's not 10 years ago when that person was healthy. You know, you don't want to put them in God's waiting room. However, sometimes that time does come, and and it's okay to do that. But hopefully, you know, there will be more care and more. I mean, there is places that are really great and the carers are really amazing. And, you know, sometimes you just experience people are having a bad day because they've just worked 12 hours and they've just had to help toilet 10 people that day. So I imagine that would be hard to stay cheerful. So, I think I'm almost ready for, like, I think I'm ready to talk to people about that and provide that support for them. And,
fabulous. Is there anything that you feel that you want to add to what you've shared so far for people, just to finish off?
Yeah, sure. I think what I would like to add is, For people in palliative care and aged care, I've been doing a lot of volunteer work and spending time with people in that space. And I think really understanding that the death journey is very personal. So don't impose your ideas. Don't, basically don't tell people how to die. So I have people in my family who are very unwell, and so we have these kind of discussions, and just accept, just listen, and don't put your 2 cents worth in, because it won't be appreciated. And also, I guess, you know what, we're all going to have our own death journey, so then you get to sort your own out. So just let another person make their decisions when they can still make their decisions. Be supportive, listen, don't go, oh yeah, I know how you feel, and I know so and so, blah, blah, blah. I don't want to hear that. It's their journey. They just want to be focusing on, hopefully dying at peace and, with dignity. So it's just, giving people that space to really accept.
Yeah, and that's a beautiful point actually you made, that everybody is individual and has different ideas and should be allowed to have full and complete expression of those ideas and their journeys. That's one lovely point that you've just made there. Thank you for that. So if you want to connect with Angela for any of her advice around what we've talked about, and any guidance from her, you can connect with her through her details on our website. It's toughworldouthere.com. And yeah, just bring joy to the people, no matter what age they are in your life, because everybody deserves joy, everybody deserves happiness, and
absolutely
nobody should ever just be shoved to one side and left. Yeah,
absolutely.
Everybody deserves respect, no matter what age they are. And thank you, Angela, for being such a strong and supportive voice for that movement and care of the old people of our world, the wise ones, because they really are. They know it all. They've been there, done that, whatever experience it is, they know it. So it's wonderful to do what you're doing, and thank you very much for being with us.
Oh, thank you. Thanks so much. It's been really, really great chatting. Thank you so much.